It is currently the 20th of September 2014. Meteorologist Robert Spetta here with you today. We are continuing to track, well, now severe tropical storm Fung-Wong, also known as Mario here in the Philippines. And I know those of you out here, over the past 24 hours, it has just been, well, one very scary situation for a few of you. Actually, people in Baguio City saying the winds continuing to gust up to typhoon strength, or what they feel like typhoon strength. They've been seeing damage, also debris flying around. But the bigger topic, which we have been seeing all throughout Friday and now still on Saturday, is this persistent rainfall moving in from the west. And still some areas of northern Luzon, you're still expecting to see 200 to 300 millimeters. In Manila, the waters are starting to recede, but thousands of people have been evacuated, especially around the Marikina River. About 6,000 families had to move. Actually, weathercaster Marco shot this video. He lives right near the river there, and just saying this is one of the highest he's seen in recent times. Also, we have seen all schools shut down on Friday. Saturday, many governmental offices in the capital still closed. And as we take a look at the forecast, this storm system is still going to be bringing some rainfall. Good news is at least the center of circulation is starting to move away from the Philippines, and we're seeing that a low pressure center actually just off the northwestern coast of Luzon. Winds right now 50 gusting up to 70 knots according to the Japan Meteorological Agency. So this is at that severe tropical storm intensity. The other good news is that they no longer expect this to become a typhoon. Here does the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. You see their track. They actually have winds about 40 gusting to 50 knots, so a little bit lower than JMA. Actually quite off a little bit there, but also they still keep Okinawa in the cone of air. I do want to say that. You see how lopsided this is off here towards the west and then towards the east? I think they have still these areas in the cone of air because we have a passing upper level trough off towards the north, and there is a risk of this turning towards the northeast still, but at least at this time numerical guidance follows in line with the center of the circulation following this track with JTWC. So the biggest threat, at least at this point, is going to be rainfall for much of Taiwan and eastern China. You're still in the cone of air off here towards the east. The likelihood of Okinawa getting hit with this storm is very low. It's not impossible, but it's really low, and I'll get to that in a second. But let's talk about this precipitation in the Philippines and what's going on right now. Well, we are still seeing that low pressure center. It's going to continue to slowly work its way off here towards the north. That upper level trough I mentioned earlier starts to hook this. So what we're going to be seeing is it slowly steer off there and eventually impacting southern portions of Taiwan as we look ahead by Sunday morning. Really, Sunday is going to be a big rainmaker for Taiwan. I'm expecting some flooding, especially along the southern areas. It's not uncommon to see that during typhoons. The good news is as we continue to look ahead, this is scrolling through about Saturday, about 8 to 9 p.m. The bulk of the precipitation, the worst of the weather starts to end finally for Luzon. But for now, we still are seeing some rainfall even as far south as Manila. That's going to continue to taper off during your morning hours, and eventually by this evening that'll start to track farther towards the north. Let's actually take a look at the GFS total accumulation outlook, and this is just with one model, and this one doesn't pick up on topographic lifting very much, but it does show you the areas that probably will be seeing the heaviest precipitation. Basically over the next 72 hours, it's along the eastern seaboards, because if our storm system stays here along the west coast, yes, it's on the west coast, but remember this has that cyclonic circulation, so the precip wraps around and it hits the eastern seaboards, and that's probably going to be the biggest issue with this. Taipei likely will miss out on the worst of the storm as it tracks off here towards the north. And let's take a look actually at our ECMWF outlook overlaid on the Meteo Earth app here, and you can see that precipitation ending for Luzon, pushing over Taiwan. Mountains really playing a big toll, but this is what I was talking about earlier. We have our trough off here towards the north, all right, and that's hooking our storm system. But the big thing a lot of the models are picking up on is the subtropical ridge kind of falling in behind this trough and allowing it to weaken off there towards the north, which would indicate our storm system to kind of go on a westerly track. I don't really see that ridge happening, and I think that's why the cone of air continues to remain well over here towards the east. ECMWF also picks up on this ridge, though, and it kind of pushes it over there towards Shanghai, and it really lingers. Look how slow it goes, though. I mean, this is 3 days just sitting basically in the same spot before starting to turn towards the northeast. So this is going to be a slow mover. I think by Monday and the Tuesday, this cone of air really could waver a lot depending on how much that trough picks this storm system up. That ridge builds in. Actually, this is with the NavGem model. You can see that area in blue forces itself in there, and that's what pushes our storm system farther there towards the west. Let's compare it up with the GFS model, because this one doesn't go as much as extreme towards the west, but you still see that area in blue kind of force itself in there. So that's our subtropical ridge we're talking about, and as long as that trough weakens, that's what's going to be happening, and that's what keeps the conditions clean for you, for those of you in the southern Japanese islands. But if that doesn't work its way in, most numerical guidance does pick that up. It would swing farther towards the east. Right now, though, official track takes it along eastern China and eventually off there towards the north, never really making it to typhoon intensity. So just a big rainmaker for the northern Philippines, Taiwan, and eventually eastern China. All right, guys, I know I'm all over the place here. A little scattered here on Saturday. The big thing I can tell you right now, though, is the rain is going to be stopping here on Saturday. Taiwan, though, it's going to pick up on Sunday, eastern China. Southern Japanese islands, go ahead with your normal business if you are out here in Okinawa. The big thing, don't be surprised if this does switch tracks. Right now, it doesn't seem like that's going to be happening. There's a very low probability. Storm's already thrown us through a few loops already, so hey, I'm not going to rule it out. You can see right here, it's actually lingering and slowly tracking off towards the north. All right, guys.